She liked watching the world pass by. From her window seat, life was a movie she could pause, rewind, and play in her mind. Every journey, whether by train, bus, or plane, was an opportunity. Not for escape, but for connection. A connection to the fleeting moments that most people miss, blurred by speed and distraction. Her name was Ilara, and her story isn't one of grand adventures, but of the quiet, profound beauty found in observation. It started when she was a little girl, pressing her nose against the cool glass of her family's car. The world outside was a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. Each passing tree, every distant farmhouse, held a story she would imagine. The man walking his dog. Where were they going? The kids playing in a yard. What was their game? These weren't just idle thoughts. They were the seeds of empathy. The beginning of her understanding that every single person, every single place, had a narrative unfolding. As she grew older, the windows got bigger, and the journeys got longer. College was a 4-hour train ride away. While others slept or buried their faces in books and screens, Ilara watched. She saw the landscape change from urban sprawl to rolling countryside. She witnessed sunrises that painted the sky in hues she never knew existed, and sunsets that set the fields on fire. She learned the rhythm of the land, the way towns clustered around rivers, the way highways cut through mountains. It was a silent education in geography, sociology, and art, all from her chosen seat. Then came the planes. The first time she flew, she wasn't nervous about the height. She was captivated. The world shrunk to a perfect, intricate map below. Cars became tiny metallic specks. Houses were monopoly pieces, and the vast, patchwork quilt of farmland stretched to the horizon. Above the clouds, she discovered a different kind of peace. A serene, blue expanse where the sun was always shining. It was a reminder that no matter how stormy it seemed on the ground, there was always clarity and light if you could just get high enough. People often asked her why she insisted on the window seat. "Isn't the aisle more convenient?" they'd say. "You can stretch your legs, get up whenever you want." Ilara would just smile. They didn't understand. The window seat wasn't about convenience. It was about perspective. She remembered one bus ride through a bustling city she'd never visited before. She watched a young musician playing a violin on a street corner, his case open for coins. People rushed past, a river of hurried footsteps. But a few stopped. An elderly woman, a child holding his mother's hand, a young couple. They were drawn in by the melody, sharing a small, beautiful moment in the middle of the chaos. From her window, Ilara saw not just a busker, but a tiny community forming and dissolving in the space of a single song. Another time, on a train cutting through the winter snow, she saw a lone fox, its red fur a brilliant splash of color against the white. It stood perfectly still, looking back at the train, and for a split second, their eyes met. A wild creature and a human observer, connected by a shared, silent moment of stillness. The train moved on. The fox disappeared, but the image was etched in her memory, a reminder of the wild, untamed world that exists just beyond our own. Her collection of moments grew. She saw a proposal on a beach from a plane taking off. She saw a family reunion in a park from a passing bus, the joy palpable even through the glass. She saw a solitary farmer mending a fence at dawn, his silhouette stark against the rising sun. These weren't her stories, but by witnessing them, she felt they became a part of her. They enriched her soul, broadened her understanding of life, and filled her with a profound sense of gratitude. Ilara's friends would share stories of their destinations, the museums they visited, the foods they tried. Ilara had those stories too, but her most cherished souvenirs were the ones she gathered along the way. The journey, for her, was never just a means to an end. It was the destination itself. She started to document them, not with a camera, but with a simple notebook and pen. She didn't capture the images, but the feelings they evoked. The loneliness of a single lit window in a dark apartment building. The hope in a field of sunflowers all turning to face the morning light. The resilience of a small town rebuilding after a storm. Her notebook became a tapestry of human and natural experience. One day, on a long-haul flight, the man in the aisle seat, a busy executive who had been typing furiously on his laptop, finally put it away. He sighed, looked over at Ilara, who was gazing intently out the window, and asked, "What's so interesting out there?" "It's just clouds." Ilara turned to him and smiled. It's never just clouds, she said softly. She started to describe what she saw, not just white fluff, but castles and dragons, mountains and oceans. She spoke of the way the light played on their edges, creating shades of gray and silver and gold. She talked about the feeling of floating between two worlds, the one below and the vast emptiness above. For the first time, the man leaned over, pressing his face close to the tiny porthole. He was quiet for a long time. When he sat back, there was a different look in his eyes, a sense of wonder he hadn't had before. "I've been on hundreds of flights," he said, "and this is the first time I've ever actually looked." That was Alara's gift. She didn't just see the world. She taught others how to see it too. She reminded us that there is magic in the mundane, that stories are unfolding all around us, every second of every day. All you have to do is be willing to look. The world keeps spinning, the trains keep running, and the planes keep flying. And in one of them, you might find a woman sitting by the window. She's not just watching the world go by. She's gathering its stories, feeling its heartbeat, and finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. Her journey reminds us that life isn't just about where you're going, but about what you see along the way. So next time you travel, maybe try the window seat. You never know what you might discover. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales from the quiet corners of life. See you in the next one.